Feliz sábado. Hoy hablamos de comparar, ¿ok? De tomar lo que tenemos nosotros y ponerlo al lado de otro tipo o tipa. Like, what? Why we talking about that is because I'm up till midnight last night scouring the internet, buscando like some sort of course for editing and writing and proofreading, all the things, right? With a certification on the end. And I'm like, why? I'm looking. And the stuff I'm finding is just like, bro, I already know or do all of this stuff. Like, I'm looking at previews and I'm like, and then I'm looking at who's posting these videos on these websites. And I'm like, bro, I only saw one person that had professor something with letters on the back of his name. I was just like, okay, so there's one person who's actually like qualified to give me this information. Qualified, my gosh. Everybody else, I'm like, this is just people posting videos about stuff that they know, information they have. I was like, bro, I can do that. Or I know more than or exactly what you're talking about. So then I had to stop myself. I was like, Latrice, pause. Why do you feel like you need this kind of a certification from somebody? Why do you feel like you need somebody to stamp you? And then I was thinking about at work the other day, somebody told me they were, maybe possibly going to take a class or looking up some classes. And I thought about it, I was like, Latrice, you didn't finish that school you was going to. But I had to realize something about myself is that formal, conventional education, the institution of it doesn't work for me. But I love education. I love to learn. Enamored with it. I have tons of books that prove so. I love to learn. I always have. But as I got older, I realized the way my brain works, the way I'm wired, just that formal setting doesn't work for me. I've done other courses. I've done other intensive programs. I've done all things concerning education, but that style doesn't work for me. But comparing myself to another person made me think, oh my gosh, I have to stop what I'm doing and do it that way. That's not true. I thought about the Bible and one of my favorite characters, David. David didn't have no certification when he went to go fight Goliath. He wasn't in the army. Matter of fact, his brothers were. His brothers, along with the rest of the Israel army, was frozen while Goliath was jaw-jacking. And David came up there delivering something for his brothers, delivering food. And he was like, bro, y'all don't hear this? He the youngest of his brothers, probably the smallest. But he was the most bold. What did David have? Boldness, confidence, obedience, and courage. Persistence, practice, and all the things. He had practice in fighting. He took care of his father's sheep. Obedience, consistency. And he had to fight off bears and lions to protect them. So he was knowledgeable in fighting and in war. And then the king at the time was being tormented by demons and spirits. And they called a skilled person. They called someone who was good on a stringed instrument, aka the harp. They said, let's get somebody in here who can play this instrument. And that way we can get these demons away from you. Who did they call? David. He was skilled at the string instrument. Like he was good at the guitar, basically. How did he get good? He had to practice. He didn't go to no school as far as we know, but he was good. He practiced. He was obedient. He was consistent, and he built up his skill, something he already had in him. My gosh. He didn't have certification. He ended up in the palace. He didn't have nobody else's stamp. He had God's stamp, and that's all he needed. Huh? So God reminded me when I closed my laptop at midnight that you have all you need. And guess what book I'm about to be reading? Stephen King on writing. He don't give me no certification at the end, but this man has written over 60 books and they're quite successful. And guess what it is on writing? The thing I was looking up on the internet last night, scouring. Like I didn't have information in my house. Anyway, don't compare yourself to anybody. I promise it's going to disappoint you. You always going to come up short if you compare yourself to somebody else. Stop it. Si nadie te ha dicho hoy, esta día, que te estoy hablando a ti mismo, yo te quiero decir a ti que te amo, and that you have enough. Because life be living out here, babe. But guess what? We are going to prosper regardless. Catch you on the flip side, right?